Hello, story lovers. Welcome to my channel. Without wasting time, let's dive in. The air inside Mama Ugoma's hut was thick with the earthly scent of crushed herbs and the faint tang of burning incense. Light filtered through the woven palm front of the roof, casting a golden hue over the array of clay pots and dry plants that lined the wooden shelves. In the center of the small room, a low table held a collection of herbal concoctions, some bubbling through gently in earthen bowls while others sat still, exceeding an aura of mystery. Mama Ugoma moved with practiced precision, her withered hands deftly grinding dried hibiscus petals with a mortar and pestle. Though her back was stooped with age, her movements were steady, a testament to decades spent perfecting her craft. She hummed softly, a melodic tune passed down through generations of herbalists. As she walked, Ijoma sat across, leg crossed on the floor, watching her grandmother with rapt attention. She was a striking young woman, her dark skin glowing under the golden light, framed by thick jet black braids that cascaded down her back. Her beauty was undeniable, but Ijoma had never thought it was enough. She longed for something more, something extraordinary, something that would make the world stop and take notice. "Grandma," she said, her voice tinged with impatience, "when will you teach me the secret of real beauty? The kind that makes people gasp when they see you." Mama Ugoma paused mid-grind, her sharp eyes narrowing as she turned to face her granddaughter. "Ijoma," she said, her voice low and firm. "True beauty is not what you think it is. It is not in the powders or oils. It comes from within. Your kindness, your humility, your heart." Ijoma sighed, her frustration bubbling to the surface. She had heard this lecture 1,000 times before. "But, Grandma, people don't care about what's inside. They only see what is on the outside. I want to be noticed, admired. I want to be perfect." Mama Ugoma set the pistol down with a thud, her expression darkened. She walked over to Ijoma and crouched down, placing a hand on her cheek. Her touch was gentle, but her eyes held a fierce intensity. "Listen to me, child," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "There is power in beauty, yes, but power can corrupt, and there is a path, a dark path, that promises everything you desire, but it will cost you more than you can imagine." Ijoma frowned, curiosity flickering in her eyes. "What path?" Mama Ugoma hesitated, as if debating whether to say more. Finally, she straightened and walked to a corner of the hut, retrieving a small withered book bound in black leather. She held it up, her hand trembling slightly. "This is the book of forbidden knowledge," she said. "It contains rituals, chants, and recipes that can make you the most beautiful woman in the world. But it is a curse. Every woman who has walked this path has paid with her soul." Ijoma's breath caught. The idea was both terrifying and tantalizing. "Have you ever used it?" she asked. her voice barely audible. Mama Ugoma's eyes filled with sorrow. Once, she admitted, I was young like you. Foolish, I thought I could control the power. But I was wrong. It took your mother from me. Ijeoma's heart clenched. She had never knew her mother, who had died when she was just a baby. How? Mama Ugoma shook her head, her voice breaking. I was reckless. I performed a ritual to protect her, to make her strong and beautiful. But the power turned on me. It demanded more and more. And when I refused to continue the rituals, it claimed her life instead. That is why I swore never to open this book again. Ijeoma stared at the book, her mind racing. The temptation was overwhelming. Could she truly resist the promise of perfection? Of a life where no one could ignore her? Where she held all the power? Promise me, Ijeoma, Mama Ugoma said, her voice trembling. Promise me you will never open this book. Never seek what it offers. Ijeoma looked into the grandma's pleading eye and nodded. I promise, she said. But even as the word left her lips, doubt lingered in her heart. That night, as the village settled into silence, Ijeoma lay awake on her mat, her thoughts consumed by the black book. She could see it in her mind's eyes, its leather cover gleaming under the dim light of the heart. The words her grandmother had spoken echoed in her ears. Power can corrupt, but what if she could control it? What if she could succeed where others had failed? The idea was intoxicating. Unable to resist, Ijeoma crept out of her room and into her grandmother's hut. The air was cool, the moonlight streaming through the cracks in the wall, casting airy shadow across the room. She found the book where Mama Ugoma had hidden it, tucked behind jars of dried roots and leaves. Her hands trembled as she reached out for it, her heart pounding in her chest. As she held the book, a strange sensation washed over her. The air seemed to grow heavier, and the faint hum of the night seems to fade into silence. Ijeoma hesitated, a flicker of her fear coursing through her. But the temptation was too strong. She opened the book. The pages were filled with symbols and words she didn't understand, written in an ancient script that seems to pause with a life of its own. Her eyes landed on the page titled, The Ritual of Eternal Beauty. The instructions were clear, and the ingredient, though strange, seemed attainable. A soft rustling sound startling her, and she spun around, clutching the book to her chest. But there was no one. Just the shadow, playing tricks on her mind. Ijeoma, the voice was barely a whisper, but it sent chills down her spine. She looked around, her breath quickening. Who is there? She demanded. Silence. She shook her head, trying to steady herself. It was just her imagination. She told herself the book was getting to her. But deep down, she knew that opening it had awakened something. Something that would not rest until it had her. The moon hung low in the night sky, casting a silver glow over the quiet village. The shadows stretched long and ominous, pulling in the corners of Mama Ugoma's hut, where Ijeoma sat. The forbidden book opened before her. Her hands trembled as she turned the brittle pages, each one covered in cryptic symbols and words that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. Her heart raced, the warning of her grandmother's echoing faintly in her mind. Power can corrupt. It will cost you more than you can imagine. But her desire drowned out her fear. The promise of beauty, real beauty, the kind that could make the world bow at her feet, was too enticing. She had seen how people treated her grandmother, how they revealed her knowledge but overlooked her age and withered appearance. Ijeoma craved admiration, not just respect. She wanted power, and she was willing to pay any price to get it. Her eyes landed on a section titled "The Eternal Beauty." The page seemed to shimmer under the moonlight, as if the words themselves were alive. The instructions were precise. The ritual must be performed under the full moon, with a mirror as the conduit, and specific herbs and offering to summon the beauty monster. Ijeoma swallowed hard as she read the list of ingredients. Most were herbs she could find in her grandmother's collection, but one item made her pause. A single drop of her own blood. Her hand grew clammy, and for a moment doubt crept in, but she shook it off. What a drop of blood compared to a lifetime of beauty and influence. By midnight, she had everything prepared. The mirror, an old cracked oval frame in tarnished silver, sat propped against the wall of her room. A small clay bowl held a mixture of crushed herbs and oils. Its pungent smell filled the air. A needle lay beside it, gleaming in the flickering candlelight. Ijeoma knelt before the mirror, her heart pounding as she began to chant the words from the book. The ancient language felt strange on her tongue, each syllable sending a shiver down her spine. The hair around her seemed to shift, growing heavy and still. As she spoke, the shadows in the room deepened, pulling around her like ink. The flame of the candle flickered violently before going out entirely, plunging the room into darkness. Only the moonlight remained, its glow reflected in the mirror. Ijeoma hesitated, the silence pressing against her like a weight. She reached for the needle, her hands trembling, and pricked her finger. A single drop of blood welled up, bright and crimson. Before she let it fall into the bowl, the mixture hissed and bubbled, releasing a flume of dark smoke. Then the mirror began to change. At first, it was subtle, a ripple, like a stone dropped into water still. But soon, the surface twisted and wrapped. The reflection dissolved into a swirling mist. Ijeoma's breath caught as a figure began to emerge from the haze. It was a woman, impossibly beautiful, with flawless skin that glowed like polished ivory. Her hair that cascaded down her shoulders like liquid gold. Her eyes, however, were unsettling, black as obsidian with no white. They seemed to pierce straight through Ijeoma. "Who dares to summon me?" the figure asked. Her voice smooth and cold, like silk wrapped around steel. Ijeoma swallowed hard, her throat dry. "I'm Ijeoma," she said, her voice trembling. "I seek beauty, eternal beauty, and the power to make others see it. The woman in the mirror tilted her head, a slow, predatory smile spread across her lips. Beauty, she must, her voice dripping with mockery. Such a small thing to desire, yet many are willing to destroy themselves for it. I will do everything it takes, Ijoma said quickly, her desperation bleeding through. The figure leaned forward, her face filling the mirror. Anything, she asked, her voice a whisper that seems to echo in the room. Ijoma hesitated, the weight of the moment pressing down on her. But the thought of returning to her ordinary life, of being overlooked and dismissed, was unbearable. She nodded. Anything. The woman smiled, widened, revealing sharp, gleaming teeth. Then the path is made, she said. The surface of the mirror shimmered, and suddenly Ijoma's reflection reappeared. But it wasn't the face she had known all her life. Her skin was radiant, without a single blemish. Her eyes sparkled like a jewel, and her lips were full and perfectly shaped. She was breathtaking. Ijoma stared at her reflection, her heart soaring with triumph. She reached out to touch the mirror, but the moment her fingers brushed the surface, a searing pain shot through her chest. She gasped, doubling over as a wave of heat coursed through her body. When she looked up, the woman in the mirror was back, her expression unreadable. "You have what you desire," she said, "but remember, beauty is a hungry beast. It must be fed." Before Ijoma could respond, the mirror returned to its normal state, her reflection staring back at her. The room was silent once more, but the air was thick with an unshakable sense of unease. The next morning, Ijoma stepped out of the room into the village. Heads turned as she walked past, and whispers followed her like a shadow. Women stared in envy, while men couldn't tear their eyes away. "You look different," one woman said, hesitatingly, her voice laced with awe. Ijoma smiled, the attention fueling her confidence. "A little self-care," she said casually, though her heart was pounding with exhilaration. Her grandmother's reaction, however, was far from admiration. When Mama Ugoma saw her, she froze, her eyes narrowing. "What have you done, child?" she demanded, her voice trembling. "Nothing, Grandma," Ijoma said, avoiding her gaze. "I'm just taking better care of myself." Mama Ugoma grabbed her arm, her grip surprisingly strong for someone so frail. "Don't lie to me," she said. "I can feel it. The darkness clinging to you." Ijoma pulled away, anger flaring in her chest. "You don't understand," she snapped. "You have never understood what it's like to be ignored, to be invisible. I have finally found a way to change that." Mama Ugoma's face cropped with sorrow. "You have made a grave mistake, Ijoma," she said. "You will pay dearly for it." Ijoma turned away, refusing to let the grandmother's words deepen her triumph. She had what she wanted. Not even her grandmother's warning would take it from her. But as the days turned into weeks, Ijoma began to notice the price of her newfound beauty. The mirror in her room seems to pulse with an unnatural energy, and she often felt as though she was being watched. Her dreams were haunted by shadowy figures and whispers she couldn't understand. And when there was the hunger, it started as a faint ache, but it grew stronger with each passing day. No food could satisfy it. No matter how much she ate, it wasn't until the first disappearance, a young woman from the village, whose beauty had always been admired, that Ijoma understood that the beauty monster had meant. Beauty, instead, was a hungry beast, and it demanded to be fed. I appreciate you spending time with me today. If you like my story, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment. I love connecting with you. Oh, and don't forget to share with a friend.